Warm greetings to everyone. Myself A. Ganga, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Biotechnology, Kamaraj College of Engineering and Technology. And in today's video lecture, we are going to see about the topic stages in design thinking. So, before getting into the stages of design thinking, we have to be aware about what is design thinking. Design thinking is a problem solving approach which mainly keeps the user at the center of the entire process. So, the main point in keeping the user at the center of the process is to connect easily with the user, to identify their core problem and to analyze the problem, to come up with more creative and practical solutions to the user's problem. So, this is the main reason we are adapting and transitioning towards design thinking approach of problem solving, and it mainly helps us to convert vague research ideas or hypothetical solution ideas into actionable insights. So, that is the main advantage of design thinking process. And also design thinking, the key characteristics of design thinking includes it is human centered and it is collaborative, it fosters teamwork and it involves each and every one of the team members and asks for their point of view in bringing a good solution to a identified problem, and it is purely hands on. So, the ideas we have put forth will be converted into products and which is tested immediately. So, that is why it is hands on, and then it helps us to reduce the risks at the earlier stages of the entire process before designing itself, designing the actual product. So, these are all the key attributes of design thinking, and that is why nowadays world is moving towards or adapting design thinking in their whatever work they involve in. So, coming to the stages of design thinking, we have 5 major stages. First one is empathizing, second one is ideating, third one is prototyping, and then fourth one is testing, and then last one is defining. Okay. So, coming to the first stage, that is empathizing, involves what is the problem of the user. So, first of all we have to design by empathizing with the user, that is the first stage. Second one is ideating. So, based on the informations we collect from the users, we have to come up with suitable opportunities that can eventually lead us to solve the user's problem. So, in the ideation step, we will be ideating lot of opportunities, possible ideas, that is the second stage. And then third one, we are converting the ideas that we have created in our thoughts into a product, into a tangible product. So, that stage is third stage, prototyping, and then the next one, fourth stage is testing. So, the prototype which we have made based on the ideas we have created will be tested in this stage, that is testing, and finally based on the test we can redefine the problem, redefine the ideas, and again this will help us to come up with most proper solutions. So, this is the entire stage of design thinking. So, it starts from empathizing, ideating, and then prototyping, testing, and defining. So, now, this slide is again telling the same thing, that is telling the 5 different stages of design thinking, that is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. However, if you one of the major key aspect of design thinking is it is not a linear process, it is a non-linear process. So, how I will explain it? So, if you look at this slide carefully, so we are empathizing with the user and defining their problem. So, once after defining, we are ideating with our team members, we are ideating a suitable problem solution, and once after ideating, we are going for prototype development. So, once the prototype is developed, we are testing it. Okay. So, here if you look carefully, we are having one more arrowhead pointing backwards towards ideate stage. So, what it means is, once developing a prototype, we will give the prototype to the users concerned. We will give it to them and ask them to test it, whether it is capable of solving the actual problem. So, once after prototyping, we will be giving them to the users and testing it. We are actually iterating it, and even if the prototype passes the test on the first trial itself, we are migrating towards the next stage, that is testing. So, once after testing, if you see here again, the arrow mark is pointing towards, the direction is pointing towards defining. So, after testing, it is possible for us to get the actual picture of the user's issues. So, that means we are now, once after creating a suitable prototype, it is possible for us to get a clear picture of the user's problem. That is, we can able to define their problem with much more clarity. So, what happens when we get clarity? We can even we can frame ideas with much more clarity and much more creatively. Okay. So, this is how the non-linearity of design thinking helps us to solve users' problem. So, that is the main thing, that is the important thing. And also, if you see here, one more arrowhead is going towards ideate stage from testing stage. That means, if the test is not up, if the test results is not up to the mark, that means the prototype we have developed is not up to the expectations. So, obviously, we have to go for iteration, we have to go for ideation stage. So, that is what this arrowhead is indicating. So, if the test is not, if the test results reveal that it is not up to the mark, the prototype is, then we have to go back and we have to ideate again, and the ideas has to be again converted into products, that is prototype, tangible products, and again it will be tested, and based on the results decisions will be made. So, that is why design thinking is a non-iterative process, that is why design thinking is called as non-linear process. So, first of all, in order to empathize with the users, empathize with the customers, we have to follow certain techniques. So, first one, this is called as, these techniques are called as immersion techniques. So, the main objective of this immersion technique is to know what exactly the customer wants, what job the users exactly needs to be done, and what are all customers gain, what are all customers pain. So, all these things will be identified in this immersion technique. So, the major popular techniques used for identifying users problem or to understanding the user better is persona and empathy mapping. So, immersion, to empathize with the users. So, the main objective of this stage is to know our audience much better, to understand their needs, to understand their cognitive overload. So, this is the main need of this stage. So, and how our service, our product is connected with users problem, how it is relatable to their query. So, all these things will be identified in the empathize stage. So, we have lot of techniques that will help us to achieve this objective. So, they are like surveys, interviews, statistics and focus groups. while if we follow these techniques, it is possible for us to empathize much more with our users. It is like stepping into the shoes of our users. So, once after following the techniques like surveys, statistics, focus groups and interviews, we have to use some other techniques in the stage define. So, some other techniques like empathy maps, customer journey maps, personas or service blueprints. So, these techniques will help us to gather all the informations that we have obtained in the earlier stages together and analyze them, so that we can define the actual problem of the user. So, this is what happens in the stage define. Okay. So, one of the example is, here is an example. So, as I have told earlier that design thinking is a user centric problem, we will keep our user at the center. Like if you see in this example, Jamie, a customer who is willing to buy a TV. She is on a venture to buy a TV. So, based on the interviews, based on my questionnaire, I have created this empathy mapping. Okay. So, according to it, I have split this entire screen into 4 quadrant. One quadrant is what Jamie says, the other one is what she thinks, the other one is what Jamie feels, and the other one is what Jamie actually does. So, if you look at the first quadrant, there are like, I was expecting something different, what do you think, where should I start, what brand do you like, what size is best. So, these are all the questions she told me, she has asked me while I interacting. Okay. So, these questions actually reveal she is a bit confused and she is a bit nervous, whether she makes some kind of wrong decision in buying a wrong kind of a brand. Okay. So, and also it also reveals that she has the desire to buy a more quality product. Okay. So, all these things are obvious from this quadrant, and now coming to what she thinks. So, these are all the things, these are all the thoughts she was actually having. What else am I missing? Why is this so hard? Actually, you should not ask like how do you know that what she thinks. It's all in the interview questions, it's all in the statistics. Okay. So, according to it, wasting too much time, she is a bit confused, she is a bit anxious. So, she is a bit emotionally overloaded with what kind of a decision she should make in order to buy the TV. So, this quadrant reveals her emotional or cognitive context. And then third one, what she feels. Okay. She is overwhelmed, and then she has fear. So, all these emotional factors are obvious from this quadrant. So, and then here and the fourth quadrant, what she does, she always checks product's website, she lists the pros and cons of a particular product, she compares the products, she do lot of research about the product she is willing to buy or she is desiring to buy. Okay. So, all these things reveal that she is more concerned about buying a good product like everyone does, but still she is confused about making the right decision. So, that is the only thing hindering her. She is not able to take the right decision. Okay. So, as a design thinker, as a designer, I myself have to come up with a proper solution. This is how empathy mapping will help the designer team to identify the actual problem statement. Okay. So, once after analyzing the informations and identifying the actual problem of the user, the designing team has to sit back and they have to ideate lot of ideas that actually solves the user's problem. That is the next stage of design thinking. So, if you look at here, after the team analyzes, after the design team analyzes the information and is able to design the issues based on the user information, the next step is generating lot of ideas. Okay. So, this ideation stage can be either done individually or it can be done as a group activity, where individual group members can come forward and share their ideas. Okay. So, later on all the ideas, we know that a single problem can have n number of ideas. So, all the ideas are always welcome in a team, and it will be eventually filtered out for prioritization based on the creativity, based on the feasibility, and based on its results, based on hypothetical how well it is feasible. Okay. So, we have n number of techniques. We have some of the techniques that help us in ideation stage. They are brainstorming, worst possible idea, and then collaborative sketching and product box. So, these are all the team activities that actually help us to come up with lot of ideas for solving the user's problem. So, the next stage after ideation stage is prototyping. So, the main objective of prototyping stage is to create a reduced and inexpensive version of the product or service. The main aim of prototyping stage is to create reduced and inexpensive version of the product or service based on the ideas we have created. So, that is the main objective, and the techniques that we use for prototyping stage is simple. Either it can be simple or it can be a higher end product, it depends on the design theme. Okay. So, the first one is paper or cardboard mockups, or it can be a low quality wireframes, or it can be higher end models. Okay. So, coming to the other stage, that is testing. So, the prototypes we have created in the earlier stage will be subjected to testing in this stage. So, usually we give the prototype to the users first. Since it is a user centered process, we will be giving the prototype to users and ask them to work on it. And in order to help them, the design thing will give them a script itself, how the prototype will actually work. So, based on the script, the user will be working on the prototype, and we will finally collect the feedback from the user. Okay. So, actually in this stage we are involving the user with us in the designing a perfect product. So, this is one reason why design thinking approach is called as user centered. Okay. So, we have to test the once after getting the reports of the test, we can again go back to defining, and we can empathize much better with the user's problem. So, and we can redo the process of defining, ideating, prototyping, and then testing. So, eventually we will come up with a useful product for the user's problem. So, some of the techniques involved in testing are to create a script and ask the users to perform actions interacting with the prototype. This is one of the easiest technique to test the prototypes. Thank you. These are all the stages of design thinking. Thank you.